The flowers were wilting. Avellini noticed them first, the white roses lining the aisle, their petals browning at the edges despite being freshly cut that morning. She stood beneath the arch of wisteria and silk, hands trembling around a bouquet that suddenly felt too heavy, and tried to convince herself that everything was fine. But it wasn't fine. The church was silent. Too silent. 300 guests sat in the pews, their whispers dying into an oppressive hush that made her skin prickle. The organ had stopped playing 5 minutes ago. The officiant kept glancing at his watch, then at her father standing rigid in the front row, his face carved from stone. And her groom, Ethan, the man she'd loved for 4 years, the man who'd promised her forever, was gone. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here with me today because, oh my God, do I have a story for you. Before we dive into this absolute emotional roller coaster, tell me, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want to see how this one ends. Now, let's get into it. Avellini's maid of honor, Chloe, touched her elbow gently. Ava, maybe we should. He's coming, Avellini whispered, though her voice cracked. He's just running late. He'll be here. But even as she said it, she knew it was a lie. Something was wrong. She'd felt it the moment she woke up that morning, a strange heaviness in the air, like the atmosphere before a storm. She'd ignored it, blamed it on wetting nerves, but now that feeling had solidified into cold, creeping dread. Her father rose from his seat, his jaw tight, and started toward the vestibule. Other men followed, Ethan's father, his brother, the best man. Their voices carried back to her in urgent, angry fragments. Not answering his phone. Cars still in the parking lot. Just left? What the hell does that mean? Avellini's breath came faster. The church felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. She could feel every eye on her, the weight of 300 pitying stares crushing her chest. Then the side door opened. Ethan's younger brother, Lucas, stepped through, his face ashen. He walked straight to her father, leaned in close, and whispered something that made every drop of color drain from the older man's face. Her father's eyes snapped to her, sharp, frightened, something she'd never seen in them before. He crossed the aisle in long strides, grabbed her arm, and pulled her aside behind the decorative screen that separated the altar from the vestibule. His grip was too tight, his hands shaking. Dad, what? He's gone, Avellini. His voice was low, urgent. Ethan's gone. He left a note. The world tilted. What do you mean, gone? Her voice didn't sound like hers. Gone where? Why would he? I don't know. Her father's eyes were wild now, darting toward the doors, the windows, as if searching for something in the shadows beyond. The note. It doesn't make sense. He said he's sorry. He said he can't marry you. And then he wrote, he stopped, swallowing hard. What? Avellini's hands were numb. He wrote what? Her father looked at her the way someone might look at a stranger. He said you're not safe with him. The words hung in the air like smoke. Not safe. Not safe. That doesn't make any sense, Avellini breathed. Why wouldn't I be safe? What does that even mean? Her father didn't answer. He just stared at her with that terrible, unreadable expression, and for the first time in her life, Avellini wondered if her father was afraid of her. Before she could ask, a sound cut through the tension. A howl. Long, low, and impossibly close. The entire church went still. Guests turned toward the stained glass windows, murmuring in confusion. It was midday. Wolves didn't howl in the middle of a city at noon. And yet, another howl answered the first. Then another. A chorus rising from the woods beyond the chapel, circling closer. What the hell? Someone muttered. Chloe appeared beside Avellini, her face pale. Ava, we need to go. Something's not right. But Avellini couldn't move. She felt frozen in place, her heart hammering against her ribs, that strange heaviness from this morning now pressing down on her like a physical weight. The air smelled different suddenly, wild, electric, like ozone before lightning strikes. And then the double doors at the back of the church burst open. Not pushed, not pulled, shattered, wood splintered. Hinges shrieked. Guests screamed and scrambled backward as shards of oak exploded inward, scattering across the marble floor. And through the ruined doorway stepped a man. No, not a man. Avellini's breath stopped. He was tall, taller than anyone she'd ever seen, with broad shoulders that filled the doorway and a presence that seemed to suck all the air out of the room. His hair was dark, almost black, falling just past his collar in waves that looked like they'd been tousled by wind. His eyes, God, his eyes, were the color of molten gold, burning with an intensity that made her knees weak. He wore black. All black. A long coat that moved like smoke around him, boots that thudded against marble with a sound like a heartbeat. And he was looking directly at her. The world narrowed to that gaze. Everything else, the screaming guests, her father's shouts, Chloe pulling at her arm, faded into static. Those golden eyes pinned her in place, and Avellini felt something inside her chest lurch, like a door she didn't know existed had just been kicked open. The stranger walked down the aisle. Slowly. Deliberately. People scattered out of his way. Some pressed themselves against the pews. Others bolted for the side exits. He didn't look at any of them. His gaze never left hers. When he reached the altar, he stopped 3 feet away. Up close, he was devastating. Sharp cheekbones. A jaw that could cut glass. Scars faint silver, tracing his temple and disappearing into his hairline. He smelled like pine and rain and something deeper, something ancient that made her pulse spike in a way she didn't understand. Her father stepped between them, his voice shaking but firm. "Who the hell are you? Get out of my daughters." The stranger's gaze flicked to her father. Just that. One look. And her father went silent, stepping back as if compelled by some invisible force. The man's attention returned to Avellini. When he spoke, his voice was deep, rough, like gravel wrapped in velvet. It resonated through her chest, vibrating in her bones. "Your groom is gone." It wasn't a question. Avellini's throat was dry. Yes. He ran. The stranger tilted his head slightly, studying her like she was a puzzle he was piecing together. "Because he finally understood what you are." Her heart slammed against her ribs. What are you talking about?" "I don't. He left you at this altar because he's a coward." The stranger's lip curled slightly, disdain flickering in his expression. "But his cowardice is my opportunity." He stepped closer. Avellini should have moved. Should have run. But her legs wouldn't obey. That strange pull in her chest intensified, like a thread connecting her to him, drawing tighter with every inch he closed between them. "My name is Jareth," he said quietly, though his voice still carried through the church. "I am Alpha King of the Lichen Courts, and I have come to collect what is mine." Lichen. The word registered distantly, impossibly. Lichens. Werewolves. Creatures from stories, myths, things that didn't exist. "You're insane," Avellini whispered. His mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Perhaps. But that doesn't make me wrong." He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her jaw, tilting her face up toward his. His touch was warm, rough with calluses, and the moment his skin met hers, Avellini felt a shock of something, electricity, recognition, a sudden certainty that terrified her, raced down her spine. "You don't know what you are yet," Jareth murmured, his golden eyes searching hers. "But you will. Soon. And when you do, you'll understand why your groom fled." "I don't," her voice broke. "I don't understand any of this." "No," he agreed softly. "But you feel it, don't you? The pull. The wrongness of this human world. The sense that you've been living in a cage you didn't know existed." Tears burned her eyes. Because he was right. God help her, he was right. She'd felt it her whole life, that nagging sense of not quite fitting, of something missing, of nights spent staring at the moon and feeling an ache she couldn't name. "Who are you?" she whispered. Jareth's thumb brushed her cheekbone, wiping away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. "I'm the one who will show you the truth," he said. "Whether you're ready for it or not." He stepped back, his hand falling away, and addressed the room in a voice that commanded absolute attention. "If the groom does not claim his bride," his eyes locked on Avellini again, burning with something fierce and possessive, "then by the laws of my kind, she is unclaimed, free to be taken by one worthy of her." He extended his hand toward her. "Avellini," he said, his voice softer now, "meant only for her. Come with me." "No," her father surged forward, his face red. "Absolutely not. I don't know what the hell you think this is, but my daughter isn't going anywhere with." Jareth's eyes flashed, literally flashed, gold bleeding into something molten and inhuman. The temperature in the church dropped 10 degrees. And from outside, dozens of howls rose in unison, a sound so primal and bone-deep that several guests collapsed to their knees. "This is not a negotiation," Jareth said quietly. But there was steel beneath the silk. "Your daughter's bloodline has been hidden long enough. The time for pretending is over." He looked at Avellini again, and his expression gentled slightly. "I'm offering you a choice that no one else will. Come with me willingly, and I will protect you. Refuse, and others will come, others who won't be as civil." "Others?" Avellini's voice was barely a whisper. "What others?" "The ones who want you dead before your power awakens," Jareth said bluntly. The air punched out of her lungs. My power? I don't have." "You do." His voice was certain. "Absolute. You just don't remember. But you will. And when that happens, every pack in the courts will want to claim you. Or kill you. Whichever serves them best." Avellini's hands were shaking so hard she dropped her bouquet. White roses scattered across the marble, petals falling away like snow. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But the howls outside were real. The cold was real. The way Jareth's eyes glowed in the dim light, that was real. "Why me?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Why would anyone want to? What am I?" Jareth's gaze softened, and for just a moment, she saw something like regret flicker across his face. "You're the last daughter of the Blood Moon line," he said quietly. "And if the prophecy is true, you're the one who will either unite the packs or destroy us all." The world spun. Avellini felt her knees give out, but before she hit the ground, strong arms caught her. Jareth held her against his chest, and she could hear his heartbeat, steady and impossibly slow, thrumming beneath her ear. "I've got you," he murmured into her hair. "I won't let you fall." And despite everything, despite the terror, the confusion, the shattered remains of her life scattered around her like broken glass, Avellini believed him. She looked up into those burning gold eyes and whispered, "What happens now?" Jareth's expression was unreadable. "Now," he said, "you come home." "So what do you think? Is Avellini about to make the biggest mistake of her life, or is Jareth the only one telling her the truth? Drop your theories in the comments, because this story is about to get wild. And if you're loving this so far, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, her ex-groom? He's not done with her. Not even close. Avellini had always thought she knew who she was. Boring, really. Predictable. The girl who colored inside the lines, who never made waves, who'd spent 26 years living the exact life everyone expected of her. Good grades. Stable job as a kindergarten teacher. A modest apartment with plants she somehow kept alive. A fiancé, ex-fiancé now, who was safe, dependable, human? Human. Why did that word suddenly feel significant? She sat in the back of a black SUV that smelled like leather and pine, watching her entire life disappear through the tinted windows. The church. Her father, still standing on the steps, looking smaller than she'd ever seen him. Chloe, crying into her phone. The guests spilling onto the lawn, taking pictures, probably already posting about the crazy guy who crashed the wedding. None of them knew the truth. Hell, Avellini didn't know the truth. Jareth sat beside her, close enough that his presence filled the space, but he hadn't touched her since placing her in the vehicle. He stared straight ahead, jaw tight, one hand resting on his knee. Even sitting still, he radiated a kind of controlled danger that made her pulse skip. "Where are we going?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "North. The court is 3 hours from here, hidden in the mountains." His eyes flicked to her briefly. "You won't be able to find it again without me. The wards make sure of that." "Wards?" Avellini laughed, a sharp, slightly hysterical sound. "Right. Magic wards. Because werewolves are real, so why not magic too?" "Lycans," Jareth corrected quietly. "Werewolves are something else. Cursed. Feral. We're not them." "Oh, well, that makes me feel so much better." His mouth twitched. Almost a smile. "Your sarcasm is noted." Avellini pressed her forehead against the cold window. "This morning I woke up thinking I was getting married. Now I'm being kidnapped by a Lycan king who says I'm some kind of prophesied whatever, and people want me dead for reasons I don't understand." She closed her eyes. "I think I'm entitled to a little sarcasm. You're not being kidnapped." "Really?" She turned to glare at him. "Because I'm pretty sure I didn't agree to get in this car. You passed out. I made an executive decision." "How thoughtful." This time, he definitely almost smiled. Silence settled between them, not comfortable, but not hostile either. Avellini studied him from the corner of her eye. He was devastatingly handsome in a way that felt dangerous, like admiring a wolf through glass and forgetting there's nothing between you and its teeth. Sharp features. That dark hair that fell just perfectly imperfect. Scars she wanted to ask about but didn't dare. And those eyes. God, those eyes. Even in the dim interior of the car, they seemed to glow faintly, catching light that shouldn't exist. "You keep staring," Jareth said without looking at her. Avellini flushed. "You blew up my wedding and told me I'm some kind of supernatural weapon. I think I've earned the right to stare." "I didn't say weapon." His voice was careful now, measured. "I said you have power. There's a difference." "What kind of power?" He was quiet for a long moment. "The kind that could change everything. Or end it. Super specific." "Thanks." Jareth's joy tightened. "I don't have all the answers, Avellini. The prophecy is old, fragmented. What I know is that your bloodline was hunted to extinction 30 years ago. Every member of the Blood Moon Pack was slaughtered in a single night. Men, women, children. All of them." Her stomach twisted. "Why?" "Because they were too powerful. Because the other packs feared them. Because your great-grandmother could." He stopped, shook his head. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that everyone believed the line ended that night. But it didn't. Your mother survived. She hid. She ran to the human world and buried what she was so deep that even you don't remember." Avellini's throat was tight. "My mother died when I was 3. Car accident." Jareth's expression darkened. "No, she didn't." The world tilted again. "What are you talking about?" "I was there. I saw. You saw what you were allowed to see. What your father wanted you to believe." Jareth finally looked at her fully, and something like sympathy flickered in his gaze. "Your mother was murdered, Avellini. Hunted down by Lycans who discovered her location. Your father found her body and covered it up to protect you, to keep you hidden." "No," Avellini's hands were shaking. "No, that's not he would have told me. He wouldn't. He did what he thought he had to do to keep you alive." Tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "You're lying." "I'm not." His voice was gentle now, almost tender. "And deep down, you know I'm not. You've always known something was wrong. Haven't you?" She had. God, she had. The dreams. The strange moments as a child when her eyes would flash in mirrors and her father would go pale. The way he never let her go camping, never let her be outside during full moons, never explained why certain topics made him shut down completely. Have you ever felt like your whole life was built on a lie? Drop a comment if you've ever had that moment where everything suddenly makes terrible sense. Why now? Avellini whispered. Why come for me now? Because you're about to shift for the first time. Jareth's voice was matter-of-fact, but his eyes held hers with burning intensity. And when you do, every Leakin in a 100-mile radius will feel it. Your power will be a beacon. They'll come for you, all of them. And not all of them want you alive. But you do. Yes. Why? Jareth's gaze didn't waver. Because the prophecy says you're my mate. The word hung between them like a bomb. Your what? Mate. My destined partner. The one the moon herself chose for me. His voice was low, rough. I've been searching for you for 5 years. And when I finally felt your presence 3 days ago, when you got close enough to my territory for me to sense you, everything in me knew. Avellini couldn't breathe. That's insane. We just met. You don't even know me. No, Jareth agreed quietly. But I will. The Leakin court was nothing like Avellini imagined. She'd expected something medieval, stone castles, torches, maybe a few Gothic spires. What she got instead was a sprawling estate carved into the mountainside, all dark wood and glass that reflected the forest like a mirror. Modern. Sleek. Beautiful in a way that felt deliberate, like someone had tried very hard to prove that monsters could have taste. The SUV pulled through iron gates that opened without anyone touching them, and Avellini felt that strange heaviness in the air again, the same sensation from the church, but stronger now. Oppressive. The wards, Jareth said, catching her expression. You'll get used to them. Will I? He didn't answer. The moment she stepped out of the vehicle, Avellini felt watched. Eyes in the shadows between trees. Movement at the edges of her vision that disappeared when she turned her head. The forest was alive with presence, and none of it felt friendly. They're curious, Jareth said, offering his hand to steady her. You're the first outsider to enter the court in decades. Lucky me. But she took his hand anyway because her legs were still shaking. His grip was warm, solid, and the moment their skin touched, that pull in her chest yanked hard enough to make her gasp. Jareth's eyes flashed gold, and his fingers tightened around hers for just a second before he released her. Inside, he said, his voice rougher than before. Now. He led her through massive double doors into an entrance hall that took her breath away. Vaulted ceilings. A chandelier made of antlers and crystal. Floors so polished she could see her reflection, still in her wedding dress, mascara smudged, looking like a ghost of the person she'd been 6 hours ago. Jareth. The voice came from the shadows at the top of the staircase. A woman descended, tall, elegant, with silver blonde hair that fell to her waist and eyes like chips of ice. She wore black leather like armor and moved with a predator's grace. Mara. Jareth's tone was carefully neutral. I wasn't expecting you. Clearly. Mara's gaze slid to Avellini, assessing and cold. So this is her. The lost blood moon. She circled Avellini slowly, like a shark. She's smaller than I expected. Mara serves as my second, Jareth said to Avellini, though his eyes never left the other woman. She speaks for me when I'm absent. How nice for her, Avellini muttered. Mara's lip curled. She has a mouth on her. Does she know what she is yet? She's learning. Learning. Mara laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. The packs are already in chaos, Jareth. Half of them think you've lost your mind, bringing her here. The other half are sharpening their claws, waiting for her to shift so they can see if the prophecy is real. Let them wait. And if she's not what the prophecy claims? Mara stepped closer to Jareth, her voice dropping to something intimate. If you've just started a war over a human girl with delusions? Jareth's eyes flashed dangerously. Careful, Mara. The temperature in the hall dropped 10 degrees. Mara held his gaze for a long moment, then smiled, slow, knowing. Of course, my king. She glanced at Avellini one more time. Welcome to the court, little blood moon. Try not to die before the full moon. It would be terribly inconvenient. She disappeared back up the stairs, leaving a wake of cold air and unspoken threats. Avellini's heart was pounding. She seems nice. She's dangerous, Jareth said flatly. Don't underestimate her. Is everyone here going to look at me like I'm either a prize or a target? Yes. He met her eyes. Which is why you don't leave my side until I say otherwise. Understood. Before Avellini could answer, another voice cut through the hall. Jareth, you actually brought her. A young man bounded down the stairs, early 20s, shaggy brown hair, an easy grin that was the complete opposite of Mara's ice. He wore jeans and a flannel shirt, looking more like a college kid than a whatever he was. Liam, Jareth said, and there was actual warmth in his voice now. I told you I would. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd actually crash a wedding. Liam stopped in front of Avellini, his eyes bright with curiosity. Hi, I'm Liam. Jareth's younger brother and official court disappointment. You must be Avellini. Despite everything, Avellini found herself almost smiling. That's me. The girl who ruined her own wedding. Hey, your groom ruined it by running. You just rolled with it. Liam's grin widened. I like her already. Don't get attached, Jareth warned. She's not staying long. Avellini's head snapped toward him. What? You'll stay until your first shift. Until we confirm what you are and I can ensure your safety. After that, he paused, something unreadable crossing his face. After that, you're free to return to your human life if you choose. If I choose. Avellini laughed, that same sharp, hysterical edge from the car. You dragged me here, told me my entire life is a lie, and now you're acting like I have a choice? You always have a choice. Do I? Because it sounds like if I leave, these mysterious others will hunt me down and kill me. So really, what you're offering is the illusion of choice while keeping me prisoner. Jareth's jaw tightened. I'm trying to protect you. By trapping me. By keeping you alive. They stared at each other, the air crackling between them. Liam cleared his throat awkwardly. Okay, so, tension. Got it. Maybe I should show Avellini to her room before you two kill each other. Jareth nodded once, sharp. Fine. North wing. The room with the balcony. Your room. Liam's eyebrows shot up. Next to my room. Where I can hear if something goes wrong. Oh, this is getting good, right? Comment below if you think Jareth is being overprotective or if there's something he's not telling her. Nothing's going to go wrong, Avellini said tightly. You don't know that. Neither do you. Jareth stepped closer, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. I know that your scent is already spreading through the court. I know that every unmated male in a 50-mile radius can feel you here. And I know that some of them will try to claim you whether you understand what that means or not. His voice dropped lower, rougher. So yes, Avellini. You're staying close to me. Because the alternative is you getting torn apart by wolves who see you as either a threat or a prize. And I won't let that happen. His hand came up, fingers brushing her jaw exactly the way he had in the church. That same shock of connection, that same terrifying certainty. Do you understand? Jareth murmured. Avellini couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, could only stare into those burning gold eyes and wonder why some part of her, some deep, buried part she didn't recognize, wanted to lean into his touch instead of pull away. I'll take that as a yes, he said softly. Then he was gone, striding down the hall and disappearing through a side door, leaving Avellini standing there with her heart racing and her entire world tilted on its axis. Liam whistled low. Wow. He's got it bad. Got what? The mate bond. I've never seen him like this. Usually he's all ice and control, but with you. Liam grinned. You're going to drive him absolutely insane. This is going to be so entertaining. Avellini pressed her hands to her face. This is a nightmare. Nah, Liam slung an arm around her shoulders, steering her toward the stairs. Nightmare's end. This is just the beginning. And he was right. Because 3 hours later, as Avellini stood on the balcony of her new room watching the sun set over the forest, she heard it. A howl. Different from the ones at the church. Closer. Desperate. Familiar. Her blood turned to ice. Because she knew that voice. Ethan. Avellini's hands gripped the balcony railing so hard her knuckles turned white. The howl came again, ragged, pained, unmistakably Ethan. She'd know his voice anywhere, even twisted into something animal and desperate. He was out there in those woods, and every instinct she didn't know she had was screaming at her to run to him. Don't. She spun around. Jareth stood in the doorway of her room, backlit by the warm glow from inside. He'd changed clothes, dark jeans, a black Henley that clung to his frame, and his eyes were locked on her with an intensity that made her breath catch. Don't even think about going out there, he said quietly. That's Ethan. Her voice shook. He's hurt. I can hear it. You can hear it because he wants you to hear it. Jareth moved onto the balcony, his movements fluid and predatory. He's calling for you. Trying to draw you out. Why would he do that? Because he's being hunted. Jareth's gaze flicked to the dark forest. And he's desperate enough to use you as bait. Avellini's stomach dropped. Bait? For what? For whoever's chasing him. Or, Jareth's jaw tightened. To lure you away from my protection, so he can take you himself. That's insane. Ethan wouldn't. Ethan left you at the altar 6 hours ago with a cryptic warning and no explanation. You don't know what he'd do anymore. Jareth's voice was hard now, edged with something that sounded almost like jealousy. You don't know what he is. Then tell me. Avellini's frustration boiled over. Stop talking in riddles and just tell me what the hell is going on. Jareth was silent for a long moment, his eyes searching hers. Finally, he sighed. Your fiancé is a half-breed. Half human, half Leakin. It's why his scent was always off. Wrong. I didn't recognize what he was until 3 days ago when he crossed into my territory and I felt him near you. His expression darkened. He's been hiding what he is his entire life. Passing as human. But something triggered his dormant blood, probably proximity to you as your power started waking up. Avellini's head spun. Ethan is. He's a werewolf? Leakin, Jareth corrected. And a weak one. Half-breeds rarely survive their first shift. The transformation tears them apart from the inside if they're not strong enough. Oh my God. She pressed her hand to her mouth. Is he dying? Possibly. Jareth's tone was clinical, detached. Or he's already turned and is now running from the court enforcers I sent after him. You sent people to hunt him? He fled my territory with knowledge of you. Of course I sent hunters. Jareth's eyes flashed. The question hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning Avellini wasn't ready to unpack. Before she could answer, a commotion erupted from below, shouts, running footsteps, the sound of something crashing through the underbrush. Jareth's entire body went rigid. Stay here. Jareth. But he was already gone, moving with inhuman speed through her room and out into the hallway. Avellini stood frozen on the balcony, her heart hammering, torn between obeying and following her instincts. Then she heard a voice from the forest. Weak. Broken. Avellini, please. Ethan. Okay, real talk. Would you stay put or would you go after him? Let me know in the comments because Avellini is about to make a choice that changes everything. Her feet were moving before her brain caught up. She ran through the room, down the hallway, taking the stairs 2 at a time. The main hall was empty, everyone had rushed outside toward the commotion. Avellini slipped through a side door and into the cool night air. The forest loomed before her, dark and vast and suddenly terrifying. But Ethan's voice came again, closer, and she plunged into the trees without thinking. Branches whipped at her face. Roots tried to trip her. The wedding dress, God, she was still wearing the stupid wedding dress, caught on everything, but she didn't stop. She followed the sound of labored breathing, of something dragging itself through the underbrush. And then she found him. Ethan lay in a small clearing, his body half-shifted in a way that looked agonizing. One arm was still human, the other covered in dark fur and ending in claws. His face was caught between man and beast, his eyes, his beautiful brown eyes, now ringed with gold and filled with pain. Ethan. Avellini dropped to her knees beside him. Oh my God, what happened to you? Ava. His voice was rough, distorted. You shouldn't be here. I'm not leaving you. She pressed her hands to his chest, felt his heart racing, too fast, too irregular. We need to get you help. Jareth has people, doctors maybe, they can. No, Ethan's clawed hand grabbed her wrist, not hard, but desperate. Can't trust him. What are you talking about? Jareth, not what you think. Ethan coughed, and blood flecked his lips. Dangerous. The prophecy, it's not about saving you. Then what's it about? But before Ethan could answer, a growl rumbled through the clearing. Low. Threatening. Absolutely lethal. Avellini looked up. Jareth stood at the edge of the tree line, and he wasn't alone. 5 other lichens flanked him, massive, partially shifted, their eyes glowing in the darkness. And Jareth. Jareth looked like death itself. His eyes were pure molten gold now, his hands tipped with claws, and the rage rolling off him was palpable. Step away from him, Jareth said, his voice barely human. Now. He's hurt. He's using you. Jareth stalked forward, every movement coiled violence. He lured you out here, away from safety, exactly like I said he would. He needs help. He needs to answer for his crimes. Jareth's gaze locked on Ethan with pure hatred. Starting with why he was meeting with the Shadowfang Pack 2 days before your wedding. Avellini's blood ran cold. What? Ethan's eyes closed. Jareth, please. The Shadowfang Pack wants the Blood Moon line extinct, Jareth continued, his voice razor-sharp. They're the ones who killed Avellini's family 30 years ago. And you, he pointed a clawed finger at Ethan. You led them right to her. The world tilted. No, Avellini whispered. No, that's not. Ethan wouldn't. But Ethan wouldn't meet her eyes. Tell her, Jareth demanded. Tell her the truth, you coward. Tell her why you really proposed. Why you stayed close to her all these years. Ethan? Avellini's voice cracked. Tell me he's wrong. Please. Ethan's remaining human hand reached for her face, and she saw tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know, at first. Didn't know what you were. But when I found out, they gave me a choice. Lead them to you, or watch my family die. I was trying to protect you by leaving. I swear I was trying to. Avellini stumbled backward, away from his touch, her entire world shattering for the second time in one day. You were going to give me to them, she breathed. Our whole relationship, everything, was a lie. No. I loved you. I love you. Enough. Jareth moved between them, his body a wall of protection. Get her out of here, he ordered one of his guards. Now. Strong hands gripped Avellini's arms, pulling her backward. She didn't fight. Couldn't. Could only watch as Jareth loomed over Ethan, his claws extending fully. Wait. Ethan's voice broke. The prophecy, she needs to know, it's not about uniting the packs. It's about... Whatever he was going to say was cut off by his own scream as Jareth's hand closed around his throat. No more lies, Jareth growled. And then Avellini was being dragged back through the forest, Ethan's screams echoing behind her, mixing with howls and snarls and the sounds of violence she couldn't see. She'd made a terrible mistake coming out here. But something Ethan said. The prophecy, it's not about uniting the packs. What did that mean? They locked her in her room. Not with chains or bars, just a door that wouldn't open and guards outside who pretended not to hear her when she demanded to be let out. Avellini had spent the last 2 hours pacing, still in that damn wedding dress, her mind spinning with everything Ethan had tried to say before Jareth silenced him. The prophecy, it's not about uniting the packs. What was it about then? She'd tried the balcony door locked. The windows wouldn't budge. Even the bathroom had some kind of supernatural seal on it. Jareth wasn't taking any chances. When the door finally opened, it wasn't Jareth who entered. Mara swept in, her ice-blue eyes assessing Avellini with cold amusement. You caused quite the commotion tonight. The entire court is talking about the little human who nearly got herself killed for a traitor. Where's Ethan? Avellini demanded. What did Jareth do to him? What he should have done the moment that half-breed crossed into our territory. Mara's smile was sharp. He's in the dungeons. Alive, for now. Though I can't imagine why Jareth is being so merciful. I need to see him. Absolutely not. Mara circled her slowly. You need to understand something, girl. You're not special because Jareth claims the mate bond. You're special because of what's in your blood. And that makes you dangerous. Everyone keeps saying that, but no one will tell me what it actually means. Mara studied her for a long moment, then laughed, cold and brittle. You really don't know, do you? Jareth hasn't told you the full prophecy. Avellini's pulse quickened. Then you tell me. Why should I? Because I'm tired of being treated like a pawn in a game I don't understand. Avellini's voice rose. Because everyone is making decisions about my life without giving me the information I need to make my own choices. So either tell me the truth or get out. Mara's eyebrows rose. There's some fire in you after all. She pulled something from her pocket, an old, leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed with age. This belonged to the last blood moon seer. She wrote the prophecy 60 years ago, right before your grandmother was murdered. She opened it to a marked page and read aloud, her voice echoing in the room. When the last daughter of the blood moon rises under the hunter's moon, she will bear the power to reshape the Leaken world. United with the Alpha King, her strength will bring either salvation or extinction. But beware, the king who claims her is also the blade that must strike her down, for in her awakening lies the death of the old order. Only through her destruction can the Pax survive, or through her transformation can they transcend. The air left Avellini's lungs. What does that mean? She whispered. The blade that must strike her down? Mara's smile was cruel. It means Jareth is destined to kill you, little blood moon. The moment your power fully awakens, which will happen during your first shift in 3 days, you become a threat to every Leaken alive. And the prophecy says the only way to stop that threat is for your mate to end your life, before you can destroy us all. Avellini's knees gave out. She caught herself on the edge of the bed, her vision swimming. That's why he brought you here, Mara continued, her voice almost gentle now. Not to protect you. To control you. To keep you close until the moment comes when he has to choose between you and his people. She closed the journal. And we both know what choice he'll make. No, Avellini's voice was barely a whisper. He wouldn't. He said I was his mate. The mate bond doesn't erase duty. Mara crouched in front of her, forcing eye contact. Jareth is a king before he's a man. And kings make sacrifices. You're just the latest one. The door burst open. Jareth stood in the doorway, his eyes blazing, his entire body radiating fury. Mara. Out. Now. I was just having a conversation with our guest, Mara said smoothly, rising. Telling her the truth you've been hiding. I set out. Mara brushed past him, pausing at the door. She deserves to know what you're planning, Jareth. Before she falls for the lie that you actually care about her. Then she was gone. Jareth closed the door with a control that was more terrifying than if he'd slammed it. He stood there, his back to Avellini, his shoulders tense. Is it true? Avellini asked, her voice shaking. Are you supposed to kill me? He didn't answer immediately. When he finally turned, his expression was unreadable. The prophecy is complicated. That's not an answer. Yes. The word was quiet, but it hit like a hammer. According to the traditional interpretation, yes. When your power awakens fully, I'm meant to stop you. Oh my God. Comment below if you saw this coming. And make sure you're subscribed, because this is about to get even more intense. Avellini stood, her hands clenched into fists. So this whole thing, bringing me here, claiming I'm your mate, protecting me, it was all just, what? Keeping your enemies close. No, Jareth moved toward her, but she backed away. Pain flashed across his face. Avellini, the mate bond is real. What I feel for you is real. But you're still planning to kill me. I'm planning to keep you alive. His voice rose, frustration breaking through his control. The prophecy has two interpretations, destruction or transformation. I'm betting everything on transformation. On the possibility that you don't have to die. That there's another way. And if there isn't? Tears burned her eyes. If it comes down to me or your people, what then? Jareth's joy tightened. He looked away. That was answer enough. Get out, Avellini whispered. Avellini, get out. She threw the nearest object, a decorative pillow, at him. It bounced harmlessly off his chest, but he flinched like she'd struck him. You lied to me. You brought me here knowing you might have to murder me, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me the truth. I was trying to protect you. By lying? By making me trust you. She laughed bitterly. Ethan was right. You're dangerous. And I was an idiot to think otherwise. Something cracked in Jareth's expression. Don't compare me to him. I'm nothing like. You're exactly like him. Avellini's voice broke. You both kept the truth from me. You both used me for your own purposes. The only difference is he had the decency to run before he could hurt me. You're planning to stay and watch me die. The words hung between them, sharp and brutal. Jareth's hands flexed at his sides. For a moment, Avellini thought he might argue, might fight back. Instead, he just looked at her with those burning gold eyes full of something that looked heartbreakingly like regret. 3 days, he said quietly. You have 3 days until the hunter's moon. I'll find a way to save you before then. I swear it. I don't want your promises. Too bad. You have them anyway. He moved to the door, paused. For what it's worth. I wish the prophecy was wrong. I wish you could just be a normal girl who I met in a normal way. And he stopped, shook his head. It doesn't matter what I wish. All that matters is keeping you alive. He left, and the door locked behind him with a soft click that sounded like a death sentence. Avellini sank onto the bed, burying her face in her hands. 3 days. 3 days until she either transformed into something powerful enough to unite the Leaken world, or died by the hand of the man who claimed to be her mate. Avellini didn't sleep. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Jareth's face when he'd admitted the truth. Every time she started to drift off, her body would jolt with adrenaline, some primal part of her screaming that she was in danger, that she needed to run. But there was nowhere to run. By dawn, she'd made a decision. If she only had 3 days left, she needed answers. Real answers. Not the carefully curated truths Jareth doled out or Mara's poisoned revelations. She needed to talk to the one person who might actually tell her everything. Ethan. When Liam brought her breakfast, apparently he'd been assigned as her keeper now, she turned on every ounce of charm she'd learned in years of dealing with difficult parents at the school where she taught. Liam, I need a favor. He paused, toast halfway to his mouth. Oh no. That's your I'm about to ask for something that'll get me in trouble voice. I need to see Ethan. Just for a few minutes. Please. Avellini, Liam sighed. Jareth would literally tear me apart. Like, actually rip my limbs off. He won't know. You said yourself the guards change shifts at 8. We could slip down to the dungeons. I could talk to Ethan for 5 minutes and be back before anyone notices. You're seriously underestimating how protective Jareth is being right now. He's got guards on every floor, patrols doubled. Because he's planning to kill me in 3 days. The words burst out louder than she'd intended. Liam's face went pale. He told you about the prophecy. Mara did. And Jareth confirmed it. Avellini's hands shook as she set down her untouched coffee. So yeah, I think I've earned the right to get some actual answers before I die. Don't you? Liam was quiet for a long moment, conflict written across his face. Finally, he cursed under his breath. 10 minutes. That's it. And if we get caught, you tell Jareth it was all your idea. Deal. 20 minutes later, Avellini followed Liam through a series of increasingly dark corridors that led deep beneath the estate. The air grew colder, damper, carrying the scent of earth and something else, pain, maybe, or fear. The dungeons weren't what she expected. No medieval torture devices, no chains hanging from walls. Just a row of reinforced cells with thick glass walls and heavy doors. Humane, almost. Except for the overwhelming sense of despair that hung in the air. Ethan was in the last cell. He sat on a narrow cot, his head in his hands, looking more human now than he had in the forest. The partial shift had receded, leaving him bruised and exhausted but recognizable. When he looked up and saw her, something broke in his expression. "Ava." His voice cracked. "You shouldn't be here. I need answers." She pressed her hand against the glass. "And you're going to give them to me." "I'll be outside," Liam muttered. "You've got 10 minutes. Make them count." He disappeared, leaving them alone. Ethan stood slowly, moving to the glass. Up close, she could see the marks of Jareth's interrogation, bruises darkening his jaw, a cut above his eye that hadn't quite healed. "Did he hurt you?" Evelini asked, hating that she still cared. "Nothing I didn't deserve." Ethan's hand came up to mirror hers on the glass. "I'm so sorry, Ava. For all of it. I never meant for things to go this way. You were going to hand me over to people who wanted me dead. What way did you think things would go? I thought I could protect you." His voice rose desperately. "I thought if I played along, got close to the Shadowfang pack, I could learn their plans and warn you. But then I realized what you were, what was inside you, and I knew. I knew no one could protect you from what's coming. Not even me." "What is coming?" Ethan's eyes, still ringed with that unnatural gold, held hers intently. "The prophecy everyone's been feeding you? It's incomplete. The seers didn't write down the last part because it was too dangerous. But my pack, the Shadowfang, they have the full version. And it says that when the last blood moon rises, she won't just transform the Leaken world. She'll end it." Evelini's blood ran cold. "What do you mean, end it?" "Your power isn't just strong, Ava. It's apocalyptic. When you shift for the first time, you'll release a wave of energy that will either kill every Leaken in its radius, or enslave them to your will. You'll become a goddess or a destroyer. And no one, not Jareth, not the Council, not anyone, can stop it once it starts." "That's insane. I'm just a person. I taught kindergarten. I can't." "You're not just anything." Ethan slammed his hand against the glass. "Why do you think your mother ran? Why do you think the entire Blood Moon line was hunted to extinction? Because your great-grandmother did the same thing 60 years ago. She shifted, and in one night, she wiped out 3 entire packs. Thousands dead. The land itself still won't grow anything where she fell." Evelini staggered backward. "No, that's not. I would never. You won't have a choice. The power will take you over. And when it does, Jareth's right, someone will have to stop you. But here's what he hasn't told you." Ethan's voice dropped to a desperate whisper. "The mate bond makes him the only one who can stop you. Your power won't work on him. He's the only Leaken in existence who'll be immune. That's why the prophecy says he has to be the one to kill you. Because he's literally the only person who can get close enough to do it." "Okay, this is insane. Drop a comment if your mind is blown right now. And hit subscribe if you haven't already." The corridor suddenly filled with the sound of heavy footsteps. Multiple guards, moving fast. "Time's up," Liam hissed, appearing at her elbow. "We need to go. Now." But Evelini couldn't move. "How do I stop it? The power, the shift, how do I control it?" "You can't," Ethan said, his eyes haunted. "That's what I'm trying to tell you. The only way to stop the prophecy is to stop the shift. And the only way to do that is what?" Ethan's expression filled with terrible resignation. "You have to die before the hunter's moon rises. While you're still human. Before the power awakens." The footsteps were getting closer. "Move." Liam grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the cell. "Ava," Ethan called after her. "Don't trust Jareth. He's not trying to save you, he's trying to use you. The transformation, the second path of the prophecy, it's a lie. There is no His words cut off as Liam dragged Avellini around the corner just as a group of guards appeared at the other end of the corridor. They ran. Through the tunnels, up the stairs, Avellini's mind spinning with everything Ethan had revealed. By the time they reached her room, she was shaking so hard she could barely stand. Liam pushed her inside, his face grim. "You didn't hear any of that from me." "Understood." She nodded numbly. He left, and Avellini collapsed onto the bed, her entire world crumbling around her. She was going to destroy everything. Everyone. Unless someone killed her first. And the man she'd started to trust, started to feel something for, he was the one destined to be her executioner. Outside her window, the sun set over the mountains. 2 days left. Avellini spent the night staring at the ceiling, Ethan's words echoing in her mind like a curse. "You have to die before the hunter's moon rises." But when dawn broke over the mountains, something inside her shifted. Not the power, not yet, but something quieter. Stronger. She was done being afraid. Done letting other people decide her fate while she cowered in a locked room waiting for death. If she only had 2 days left, she'd spend them fighting. Not running. Not hiding. Fighting. When the door opened that morning, she expected Liam or a guard. She got Jareth instead. He looked like he hadn't slept either. His hair was disheveled, his jaw shadowed with stubble, and those golden eyes were darker somehow, haunted. He carried a tray of food, which felt absurdly domestic considering he was supposed to kill her in 48 hours. "I heard you visited Ethan last night," he said quietly, setting the tray on the dresser. No accusation in his tone. Just weariness. "Are you going to punish Liam?" "No." Jareth leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "He was right to take you. You deserved answers, even if I wasn't ready to give them." Avellini blinked. That wasn't what she'd expected. "So you're not angry?" "Oh, I'm furious." His eyes flashed. "But not at you. At myself. At this whole impossible situation." He dragged a hand through his hair. "I've been up all night searching the archives, looking for any scrap of information about the transformation path of the prophecy. Anything that might prove Ethan wrong. Did you find anything?" His silence was answer enough. Avellini's chest tightened, but she forced herself to stay steady. He said there is no second path. That the transformation is a lie you're telling yourself, because you don't want to accept that killing me is the only option. He's wrong. But Jareth's voice lacked conviction. "Is he?" She moved closer, studying his face. "Or are you just desperate enough to believe in a miracle that doesn't exist?" Jareth's jaw clenched. "I won't kill you, Avellini. I don't care what the prophecy says. I'll find another way." "What if there isn't one?" "Then I'll make one." His voice rose, frustration breaking through. "You think I brought you here just to murder you? You think I claimed you as my mate knowing I'd have to?" He stopped, turned away, his shoulders rigid with tension. Avellini's heart clenched. Because beneath the anger and the fear, she heard something else in his voice. "Pain." "Jareth," she said softly. "Look at me." He didn't move for a long moment. When he finally turned, his expression was raw in a way she'd never seen. "I can feel you," he said quietly. "Every moment. Every emotion. The mate bond, it's not just some mystical connection. It's real. Your fear is my fear. Your pain is mine. And the thought of being the one to," his voice broke. "I can't. I won't." Avellini crossed the distance between them, her hand coming up to rest against his chest. His heart hammered beneath her palm, too fast, matching her own. "Then help me fight it," she whispered. "Not by hiding me or trying to control this, but by teaching me. If this power is inside me, maybe I can learn to control it. Maybe the prophecy is wrong because it never accounted for someone actually trying to change their fate." Yes! Finally someone's taking control. Drop a comment if you're Team Avellini. Jareth's hand covered hers, his touch warm and steady. "You want me to train you?" "We have 2 days, Avellini. That's not enough time to. So we make it enough." Her voice was stronger now, certain. "I'm done being a victim in this story. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die fighting. And if there's even a chance I can survive this, control this, I'm taking it. Something shifted in Jareth's expression. The defeat faded, replaced by something like hope. Like pride. You're insane, he murmured. I'm desperate. There's a difference. She managed a small smile. So, what do you say, Alpha King? Will you help me become a monster worth fearing? A slow smile spread across Jareth's face, the first real smile she'd seen from him. It transformed his entire face, making him look younger, less burdened. You're already worth fearing, he said. You just don't know it yet. He stepped back, his posture shifting into something more commanding. If we're doing this, we start now. No breaks, no hesitation. I'm going to push you harder than you've ever been pushed. It's going to hurt, and you're going to hate me for it. But if there's any chance of you surviving your first shift with your mind intact, we need to wake your leak inside gently. Let it surface slowly instead of all at once. How do we do that? Jareth's eyes glinted with something dangerous. We trigger it. Piece by piece. Starting with your senses, then your strength, then your instincts. By the time the hunter's moon rises, you won't be fighting your power. You'll be riding it. And if it doesn't work? He was quiet for a moment. Then his hand came up, cupping her face with a gentleness that stole her breath. Then we'll face that together, he said. I promise you, Avellini, whatever happens when that moon rises, you won't be alone. The certainty in his voice, the absolute conviction, made something inside her chest crack open. Not break. Open. Like a door she'd kept locked her whole life finally swinging wide. This man, this dangerous, complicated, impossible man, meant what he said. He'd stand with her even if it destroyed him. Okay, she whispered. Let's do this. Jareth's smile turned wolfish. Then let's start with lesson 1, learning to shift your senses. Close your eyes. Avellini obeyed. Now breathe. Deep. Tell me what you smell. I smell pine, rain, something earthy. She paused. And you? You smell like home somehow. She felt him move closer, his breath warm against her ear. That's the mate bond, he murmured. Your leak inside recognizing mine. Now push deeper. Smell beyond the room. Tell me what's in the hallway. Avellini concentrated, and suddenly the world exploded with scent. Leather from the guard's boots. Liam's cologne 3 rooms away. Mara's cold, sharp scent like winter frost. And beneath it all, something wild and vast, the forest itself, calling to something inside her. Her eyes snapped open. Oh my God. I can smell everything. Good. Jareth's hand steadied her as she swayed. That's your leak in senses waking up. It'll be overwhelming at first, but you'll learn to filter it. Again. Eyes closed. This time listen. They trained for hours. Senses first, smell, hearing, sight that let her see in near darkness. Then strength, Jareth teaching her to channel the power building inside her into controlled bursts. By noon, she could hear conversations 3 floors away and lift furniture that should have been impossible for someone her size. By sunset, she'd thrown Jareth across the room during a sparring session. He'd laughed, actually laughed, as he picked himself up. There she is. The Blood Moon Queen. I didn't mean to. Don't apologize for your strength. He prowled toward her, pride gleaming in his eyes. Own it. Your power isn't something to fear, Avellini. It's something to wield. She stared at her hands, still trembling with adrenaline. I can feel it now. The power. It's like something coiled inside me, waiting. The shift is close. Jareth's voice was gentle. One more day. Are you ready? Avellini met his eyes, those burning gold eyes that had terrified her just days ago and now felt like an anchor. No, she admitted. But I'm done running from it. Jareth's hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. Then we face it together. Whatever comes. And for the first time since this nightmare began, Avellini believed they might actually survive it. Outside, the moon rose over the mountains, one day away from full. One day until everything changed. Comment below if you think they can do this. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? The finale is coming. The hunter's moon rose blood-red over the mountains. Avellini felt it the moment the first rays touched the horizon, a pull so powerful it drove her to her knees. Every cell in her body screamed, demanding she submit to the transformation clawing its way to the surface. Jareth. Her voice came out strangled. He was there instantly, his hands on her shoulders, grounding her. Breathe. Remember what we practiced. Don't fight it, guide it. But this was nothing like their training sessions. This was agony. Her bones felt like they were splintering, her skin too tight, her blood boiling. And beneath it all, that vast, terrible power unfurling inside her like wings. I can't, it's too much. Yes, you can. Jareth's voice was steady, commanding. You're stronger than this. Stronger than the prophecy. Show me. The doors burst open. Mara strode in, flanked by a dozen armed guards. Her expression was cold triumph. Step away from her, Jareth. It's time. No, Jareth moved in front of Avellini, his body a shield. Get out. Now. The council has spoken. Mara's voice rang with authority. The moon is rising. If you won't do what's necessary, we will. I am your king. Jareth's eyes blazed. And I'm ordering you to stand down. You're a king ruled by emotion. Mara drew a silver blade from her belt, ancient, etched with runes that seemed to writhe in the moonlight. The council gave me authority to act if you failed in your duty. I'm sorry, Jareth. But this is bigger than your feelings. She moved toward Avellini with inhuman speed. Jareth intercepted her, and they collided with a force that shattered the windows. Glass exploded outward as they crashed through furniture, both partially shifted, claws and fangs flashing in the chaos. Avellini tried to stand, but another wave of power slammed through her. Her vision blurred, doubling, and suddenly she could see everything: heat signatures, electrical currents in the walls, the very life force of every creature in the building pulsing like stars. No, she gasped. No, it's happening. More guards poured into the room. Not to help Jareth. To surround her. Restrain the blood moon, one of them shouted. Before she shifts completely. Hands grabbed her arms. Avellini screamed, and the power exploded. A shockwave of pure energy burst from her body, throwing every guard backward. They hit the walls with sickening cracks, crumpling to the floor unconscious. The very air shimmered with power, and Avellini felt herself rising, lifted by forces she didn't understand. Her body began to change. Fur rippled across her skin. Her spine curved, elongated. Claws extended from her fingertips. But unlike the agonizing transformation she'd witnessed in Ethan, this felt right. Like finally becoming what she was always meant to be. Oh my god, it's happening. Comment now with your predictions. Avellini. Jareth's voice cut through the chaos. Listen to me. You have to anchor yourself to something human. A memory, a feeling, anything that keeps you while the power flows through you. Mara lunged for the silver blade she dropped. She's too far gone. We have to. Jareth caught her by the throat, his voice dropping to a lethal growl. Touch her and die. He released Mara and moved toward Avellini, his hands raised in surrender, his eyes locked on hers. Come back to me. I know you're still in there. I can feel you through the bond. Come back. Avellini's vision was pure white fire now. She could feel every living thing in the entire estate, their hearts beating in her ears like drums. She could taste their fear, their awe, their desperation. The power wanted to consume them. Wanted to remake them in her image or destroy them for daring to exist. It would be so easy. Avellini. Jareth's voice was closer now. She felt his hand touch her face, warm and solid and real. I know you're scared. I know this power feels like it's going to swallow you whole. But you're stronger than it. You're stronger than the prophecy, stronger than your bloodline, stronger than anything the world has thrown at you. His forehead pressed against hers. Come back to me, he whispered. Please. I can't lose you. Not when I just found you. Something in his voice, the raw vulnerability, the absolute certainty, cut through the power's roar. A memory surfaced. Standing at the altar in her wedding dress. The moment Jareth had walked through those shattered doors and looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. If he does not take her, then she's mine. Not a claim of possession. A promise of protection. Avelini grabbed onto that memory, that feeling, and pulled. The power fought her, screaming in her mind, demanding release. But she was done being controlled by fear, by prophecy, by anything. No, she growled, her voice layered with something ancient and powerful. You don't own me. I own you. And she forced the power down. Not away, not gone, but contained, shaped, controlled. The white fire dimmed. Her vision cleared. And when she looked down at herself, she was still shifted, still covered in silver-white fur, still possessing claws and strength that could tear through steel, but her mind was her own. The transformation was complete, and she was still herself. The room fell into stunned silence. Jareth stared at her, his expression a mix of awe and relief. You did it. You actually did it. Avelini looked at her clawed hands, felt the power humming beneath her skin, vast and terrible, but hers to command. The prophecy was wrong. I'm not a weapon that has to be destroyed. I'm just me, with power, and a choice about how to use it. Mara struggled to her feet, blood trickling from a cut above her eye. That's impossible. No blood moon has ever. The power should have consumed you. Well, it didn't. Avelini's voice was steady, commanding in a way it had never been before. Because I'm not my great-grandmother. I'm not any of the blood moons who came before me. I'm Avelini. And I decide my own fate. She turned to face the guards who were slowly regaining consciousness, the court members who'd gathered in the doorway, drawn by the commotion. I didn't ask for this power. I didn't ask to be part of your prophecies or your politics. But I have it now, and you need to understand something. I'm not here to destroy you. I'm not here to rule you. I'm just here to live. And anyone who tries to stop me will learn exactly how strong a blood moon can be when she's fighting for her own life. The authority in her voice, the sheer power, sent every Leakin in the room to their knees in instinctive submission. Every Leakin except Jareth. He stood tall, a smile playing at his lips. That's my queen. Avelini's heart stuttered at the word. I'm not. You are. He crossed to her, taking her clawed hand in his without fear. You just united every wolf in this court through sheer force of will. You controlled power that should have killed you. You literally rewrote prophecy through choice alone. His eyes glowed with pride and something deeper. If that's not a queen, I don't know what is. Before Avelini could respond, the doors burst open one final time. Ethan stumbled in, still weak but free of his restraints, with Liam supporting him. His eyes were wild, desperate. Avelini, no. You don't understand. The shift is only the beginning. When the moon reaches its peak, the power will surge again and... But Avelini felt it now. The second wave building inside her, larger than the first. The moon's pull intensifying. This was the moment. The true test. She met Jareth's eyes, saw the same realization there. This was when the prophecy said he had to kill her, when the power would surge beyond control. Jareth, she whispered. If I can't hold it, you will. His hand tightened on hers. But if you can't, if you start to lose yourself, his jaw clenched. I'll do what I have to do. To save you from becoming something you'd hate. I know. And she did. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The same promise she'd make for him. The moon reached its peak. The power exploded inside her, 1,000 times stronger than before. Avelini threw her head back and howled, a sound that shook the foundations of the estate, that echoed across mountains and valleys, that every Leakin in 100 miles felt in their bones. And in that moment, she made a choice. Instead of letting the power burst outward, destroying everything around her, she turned it inward, forging it. shaping it, weaving it into the very fabric of her being until power and person were inseparable. Until she wasn't Avellini with power. She was Avellini as power itself. When the light faded, she stood in the center of the room, fully transformed into a massive silver wolf with eyes that glowed like twin moons. And she was smiling. She'd done it. She'd survived. She'd won. The morning after the hunter's moon, Avellini woke human. Not trapped in wolf form, not consumed by power, just herself. She lay in an unfamiliar bed in an unfamiliar room, sunlight streaming through massive windows that overlooked the forest. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was or how she'd gotten here. Then it all came rushing back. The shift. The power. The moment she'd taken control of a destiny everyone said was written in stone and rewritten it in her own hand. She sat up slowly, taking inventory. No pain. No residual burning in her bones. Her body felt different. Stronger. Like she'd been walking through life wearing weights she didn't know existed, and someone had finally removed them. You're awake. Jareth sat in a chair by the window, still dressed in yesterday's torn clothes, dark circles under his eyes. He looked exhausted, like he'd been keeping vigil all night. You didn't sleep, Avellini said softly. Couldn't. His voice was rough with fatigue and something deeper. I needed to make sure you were really okay. That the shift hadn't changed you in ways we couldn't see yet. And? A slow smile spread across his face, genuine, unguarded, beautiful. And you're still you. Maybe even more yourself than before. Avellini swung her legs out of bed, realizing she was wearing clothes she didn't remember putting on, soft cotton pants and an oversized shirt that smelled like Jareth. Did you? Liam helped, Jareth said quickly, a hint of color touching his cheeks. After you shifted back. You were unconscious for about 6 hours. 6 hours. She stood, testing her balance. Everything felt right. Solid. What happened after you turned the prophecy on its head and proved every seer in Leakin history wrong? Jareth's smile widened. The court exploded. Half the packs are calling you a miracle. The other half don't know what to make of you. But they're all afraid, in the way people fear forces of nature, not monsters. And Mara, stripped of her position as my second. She'll face the council for attempting to kill you against my direct orders. His expression hardened. She won't be a problem anymore. Avellini moved to the window, looking out at the forest that no longer felt foreign. What about Ethan? Jareth was quiet for a moment. He's being transported to a neutral territory this morning. His betrayal can't be ignored, but given that his information helped you understand what you were facing, I've agreed to exile instead of execution. He'll live. Just not here. Relief and sadness mixed in Avellini's chest. Can I see him? Before he goes. If that's what you want. 20 minutes later, Avellini stood in the courtyard as guards loaded Ethan into a reinforced vehicle. He looked smaller somehow, diminished by his failures, his half-formed shift leaving him permanently changed. When he saw her, something broke in his expression. Ava. She crossed to him, aware of Jareth watching from the steps, but giving her space. I'm not going to say I forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What you did, what you almost did. I know. Ethan's voice was thick with regret. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm glad you survived. Glad you found your strength. I was wrong about everything, especially about you needing to die. You're not a weapon. You never were. No, Avellini agreed. I'm just a woman who refused to let other people write my ending. Ethan managed a weak smile. The world isn't ready for what you're going to become. But I'm glad I got to see it. Even if I'll regret for the rest of my life that I won't be part of it. He reached out, hesitated, then let his hand fall. Be happy, Ava. You deserve it. Even if I'm not the one who gets to give it to you. The guards ushered him into the vehicle. As it pulled away through the iron gates, Avellini felt a chapter of her life closing, painful, necessary, final. When she turned back, Jareth was there, his presence a steady anchor in the chaos of everything that had changed. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I will be." She took his hand, their fingers intertwining naturally now. "What happens next? To us? To whatever this is?" Jareth pulled her closer, his other hand coming up to cup her face. "That depends. The mate bond is real, Avellini. You felt it during the shift, that connection between us. But I'm not going to claim you belong to me just because of some mystical prophecy. You get to choose. Always. Choose what? Whether you want to stay. Whether you want to explore what we could be together. Or whether you want to return to your human life and live as you were before, though I suspect that's not possible anymore, even if you wanted it." Avellini's heart hammered in her chest. "And if I stay? What would that look like?" "Complicated." Jareth's thumb brushed her cheekbone. "You'd be learning to control powers that terrify half the Leakin world. You'd be navigating court politics with people who both worship and fear you. You'd be standing beside an alpha king who's spent 3 centuries alone and has no idea how to be in a relationship." "That does sound complicated." But Jareth continued, his voice dropping lower, softer. "You'd never be alone. You'd never have to hide what you are. And you'd have me for whatever that's worth. Someone who sees every part of you, light and dark, and wants you anyway." Avellini's throat tightened with emotion. "That's worth everything." She rose on her toes, closing the distance between them, and kissed him. It wasn't like the dramatic first kisses in movies, desperate and wild. It was gentle, tentative. A question asked and answered without words. Jareth's arms came around her, pulling her close, but not possessive, and Avellini felt that bond between them, that golden thread she'd sensed during her shift, grow stronger, wrapping around them both like a promise. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Jareth rested his forehead against hers. "I take it that's a yes to staying," he murmured. "For now." Avellini smiled. "But I have conditions." "Name them." "I'm not going to be some trophy queen who sits in a castle looking pretty. If I'm staying, I'm contributing. I want to help the packs, especially the ones struggling. I was a teacher before all this. I can teach young Lycans how to control their shifts, help them not feel like monsters." Jareth's eyes glowed with pride. "Done. What else?" "I want my father to know I'm alive. I don't know if I can ever have a normal relationship with him again after all the lies, but he's still my dad. He deserves to know I'm okay. We can arrange supervised visits. Carefully. And Liam gets to stay as your second, not Mara. He's loyal, he's smart, and he actually has a sense of humor. This court could use that." Jareth laughed, a real, genuine laugh that transformed his entire face. "Liam is going to lose his mind when he finds out." "Anything else?" Avellini's expression turned serious. "No more secrets. No more half-truths or protecting me from information because you think I can't handle it. If we're doing this, if we're really trying to build something together, it has to be built on honesty. Complete honesty. Even when the truth is ugly? Especially when the truth is ugly." Jareth studied her face for a long moment, then nodded. "You have my word. No more secrets." "Then yes. I'm staying." The smile that broke across his face was worth every terrifying moment of the past 3 days. 3 months later, the first snowfall of winter dusted the mountains in white, transforming the court into something from a fairy tale. Avellini stood on the training grounds, watching a group of young Lycans practice their shifts under her guidance. "Remember," she called out, "the shift isn't your enemy. It's part of you. The more you fight it, the more it hurts. Let it flow through you, not at you." A young girl, maybe 14, successfully completed her first controlled shift, her eyes lighting up with joy and relief. "I did it. Ms. Avellini, I actually did it. See? I told you." Avellini grinned. "Now do it again." Muscle memory is everything. Teaching had become her purpose here. Not just helping young Lycans control their abilities, but showing them they weren't monsters. That power didn't have to mean violence. that they could be both strong and gentle. It turned out being a kindergarten teacher had prepared her well for handling a pack of teenage werewolves. Who knew? They love you. She turned to find Jareth leaning against the training hall doorway, arms crossed, that soft smile he reserved only for her playing at his lips. They're good kids. Just scared. Avellini dismissed the class for the day, watching them race off toward the main building, laughing and shoving each other like normal teenagers. How'd the council meeting go? Surprisingly well. Jareth moved to her side, his hand finding hers naturally now. The Shadowfang Pack has agreed to a peace treaty. With you as mediator, they're willing to discuss reparations for what they did to your family. Avellini's chest tightened. 3 months ago, the mention of the pack that killed her mother would have sent her into a rage. But she'd learned something important in her time here. Power meant nothing if it was ruled by vengeance. I'll meet with them, but on neutral ground. And I want Liam there as backup. Already arranged. Jareth's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. You've changed things here, Avellini. The packs are talking to each other instead of plotting. Young Lycans are learning control instead of fear. Even the council is starting to see you as a leader, not a threat. And you? She looked up at him. How do you see me? His eyes, those beautiful golden eyes that had once terrified her, softened. I see you as the person who changed my entire world in 3 days and kept changing it every day since. I see you as my partner, my equal, and the best decision I've ever made. He paused, vulnerability flickering across his face. I see you as the woman I'm falling in love with. Avellini's breath caught. They'd grown closer over the past 3 months, countless late-night conversations, shared meals, quiet moments of understanding. But they'd both been careful, taking things slow, building something real instead of just riding the mate bond. This was the first time either of them had said the word love. I'm scared, she admitted quietly. Everything happened so fast before. What if we're just caught up in the intensity of it all? What if when things settle down, we realize we don't actually? Jareth kissed her, cutting off the spiral of doubt. When he pulled back, his expression was steady, certain. The mate bond brought us together, he said. But everything after that? That was choice. Every conversation, every moment, every time I look at you and think, she's incredible, that's not magic. That's just you. Being you. And me realizing I never want to spend a day without you in it. Tears pricked Avellini's eyes. I'm falling in love with you too. Even though you're impossible and stubborn and way too overprotective. Pot, meet kettle. I can't imagine being anywhere else. With anyone else. Jareth's smile was pure joy. So we're doing this? Really doing this? We're already doing it. We have been since the moment I decided to trust you instead of run. Avellini rose on her toes, her arms circling his neck. Now we're just admitting it out loud. This kiss was different from their first. Deeper. More certain. A promise sealed between two people who'd found each other in the worst circumstances and chosen to build something beautiful anyway. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jareth rested his forehead against hers. I should probably mention, he murmured, that the council wants to hold a formal ceremony. To officially recognize you as, well, as my queen. If you want that title. No pressure. Queen. Avellini laughed. 3 months ago, I was a kindergarten teacher planning a wedding. Now I'm supposed to be a queen. You've been acting like one since the day you rewrote the prophecy. This would just make it official. Avellini pulled back to study his face. Is that what you want? I want you. However you want to be. Queen, teacher, partner, it doesn't matter. As long as you're mine and I'm yours. Yours, Avellini repeated, testing the word. It used to sound like possession. Now it sounded like home. Okay. Yes. Let's do it. Let's make it official. Jareth's answering grin was brilliant. The ceremony is in 2 weeks. Fair warning, it's going to be huge. Every pack will send representatives. Your father is invited, if you want him there. I do. We've been talking more. It's complicated. But we're trying. That's all anyone can do. Try. They stood together as snow began to fall more heavily, watching the court come alive with evening activity. Lights flickered on in windows. Young lichens raced through the courtyard, playing in the first snow. Somewhere, someone was cooking something that smelled amazing. It was beautiful. Peaceful. Right. I never thought my life would look like this, Avellini said quietly. Standing in the snow with the Lichen King, planning to become a queen, teaching werewolf children how to shift. It's insane. The best things usually are. Jareth wrapped his arms around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. Any regrets? Avellini thought about the girl she'd been 3 months ago. The one who colored inside the lines. Who never made waves. Who was about to marry a man she loved, but who could never have truly known her. That girl was gone. In her place stood someone stronger. Braver. More herself than she'd ever been. Not a single one, she said. Well, maybe one. I really wish I'd gotten to eat some of that wedding cake before everything went to hell. It was supposed to be chocolate raspberry. Jareth's laugh rumbled through his chest. I'll have the kitchens make you one. Any flavor you want. Consider it a pre-coronation gift. You're going to spoil me. That's the plan. 2 weeks later. The coronation ceremony was held outdoors under the light of the full moon. Not the hunter's moon that had nearly destroyed her, but a gentle, silver moon that bathed the clearing in soft light. Hundreds of lichens gathered, representatives from every major pack, court members, young students from Avellini's classes, and even some humans who'd discovered the truth and been welcomed into the fold. The crowd was massive, but Avellini felt no fear. She stood before the ancient stone altar wearing a gown of silver and white that caught the moonlight like water. Her father stood in the front row, tears in his eyes, finally accepting what his daughter had become. Liam stood beside Jareth as his official second, practically vibrating with excitement. Even Chloe had made the trip, though she'd spent the first hour just gaping at everything with her phone recording. The ceremony itself was beautiful, ancient words in a language Avellini was still learning, blessings from the pack elders, and finally, Jareth taking her hands in his before the entire court. 3 months ago, he said, his voice carrying across the clearing, I went to claim a bride who had been abandoned. I expected to find someone broken, someone who needed saving. His eyes met hers, glowing with emotion. Instead, I found someone who saved herself, who took a prophecy meant to destroy her and turned it into a declaration of her own strength. Who showed all of us that destiny is not something that happens to us, it's something we choose. He raised her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. Avellini is not my queen because I claimed her. She's my queen because she claimed herself. And in doing so, she claimed all of our hearts. The crowd erupted in howls, joyful, celebratory, earth-shaking. Avellini felt the sound resonate in her chest, felt her own wolf rise to answer, and for the first time, she didn't fight it. She let herself shift, just partially, just enough that her eyes glowed silver white and her power hummed visible in the air around her like starlight. The howls grew louder, deafening, beautiful. Jareth shifted too, his eyes blazing gold, and together they stood before their people, not as king and subject, but as partners. Equals. I present to you, Jareth's voice rang out, Avellini, queen of the Lichen courts, first of the restored blood moon line, teacher of the young, and my chosen mate. The elder stepped forward, placing a crown of silver and moonstone on Avellini's head. It was lighter than she expected, delicate, beautiful, and somehow perfectly her. Do you accept this crown? The elder asked. Do you swear to lead with wisdom, protect with strength, and love your people as your own? Avellini looked out at the sea of faces, young and old, fierce and gentle, all looking at her with hope and trust and acceptance. I do, she said clearly. I swear it. Another wave of howls, and this time, Avellini threw her head back and howled with them, a sound of pure joy, of victory, of a girl who'd survived her own death and come out stronger. When the ceremony ended, Jareth pulled her close and kissed her in front of everyone, deep, passionate, and absolutely scandalous for a formal event. The crowd went wild. "Told you I'd make you a queen," he murmured against her lips. "You didn't make me anything. I did this myself. That's what makes you perfect." 6 months later, spring arrived at the court in an explosion of wildflowers and new growth. Avellini stood on her favorite balcony, the one from her first night here, where she'd heard Ethan's howl and made the choice to run toward danger instead of away from it. So much had changed since then. The school she'd founded was thriving, teaching young Lycans not just control, but confidence. Peace talks with the Shadowfang Pack had resulted in an unprecedented alliance. Her relationship with her father had mended slowly but surely, and he'd even moved to a house in the nearby human town so he could visit regularly. And Jareth. She smiled as strong arms wrapped around her from behind. "Caught you smiling at nothing again," Jareth murmured into her hair. "What are you thinking about?" "Everything. How different my life is now. How different I am. Better different or worse different." Avellini turned in his arms, looping her hands around his neck. "Definitely better. Scary, complicated, occasionally completely overwhelming, but better." "Good. Because I have something to ask you." Her heart skipped. "Jareth, don't panic." He laughed, but there was nervousness in his expression that was rarely there. "I know we said we'd take things slow. I know we're still learning how to be partners in this crazy world we're building. But..." He pulled a small box from his pocket. Avellini's breath caught. "This isn't about the mate bond or the prophecy or any mystical destiny," Jareth said quietly. "This is about me wanting to spend every day of my extremely long life with you. About choosing you over and over again in every possible way." He opened the box, revealing a ring simple, elegant, with a stone that glowed softly like captured moonlight. "Will you marry me, Avellini? Not as king and queen, just as Jareth and Avellini. Two people who found each other in the chaos and decided to build something beautiful." Tears streamed down Avellini's face, happy tears, overwhelmed tears, grateful tears. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." Jareth slid the ring onto her finger, and the moment it settled into place, Avellini felt the mate bond between them flare brilliant and bright, not controlling, not possessive, just connected. Two souls choosing each other freely. He kissed her as the sun rose over the mountains, bathing them both in golden light. "I love you," he murmured. "My queen. My mate. My choice." "I love you too," Avellini said. "My king. My partner. My home." And as they stood together watching the world wake up, Avellini knew with absolute certainty that she'd made the right choice that day at the altar. She'd chosen herself. She'd chosen truth over comfort. She'd chosen to fight for her own life instead of letting others dictate her fate. And in doing so, she'd found something she never expected. A love that was real. A purpose that mattered. A family that chose her just as fiercely as she chose them. The groom had abandoned her at the altar. But she'd never needed saving. She'd been her own rescue all along. Wow. What a journey. Drop a heart in the comments if this story had you in your feelings. And if you loved this, please hit that subscribe button because I have so many more incredible stories coming your way. Thank you for watching, beautiful souls. Until next time, keep believing in your own strength and never let anyone else write your ending. You've got this. Thank you for reading this story with me. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments what your favorite moment was. And don't forget to subscribe for more emotional, addictive storytelling. See you in the next one.